Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. Another week that on the surface looked like it was going to be a quiet one, but that was not meant to be, as it seems to be the case these days. Today is November 22nd, 2024, and this is your Friday planning video. I've been mentioning this a lot in our meetings, but though I'm not going to self-promote so much, but with the market volatility returning and add to that the new administration coming into Washington in a few months, well, 59 days, but who's counting? I want to remind you that if things are going on and you want to get some quick information from me and not your social media feed, on a side note, if you're like 1 in 5 Americans today that regularly get your news from influencers, maybe you can add me to your sources. Monday, I will still post a video about last week's market and preview the week ahead. And this is important, especially when things get really volatile. I will add special videos when necessary for major market moves. And then Friday, like today, I'll be posting a video that will address some planning ideas, and mostly we'll try to be timely. And today I'll stick to the end of the year. I hope these videos are helpful. If you have suggestions, of course, please let me know. Okay, let's get into some year-end ideas. Actually, these are good things to think about any time of year, but if you're like me, I look at this time of year as yet another time to step back, see what I can do better, plan better, execute better, and have better discipline. So here are a few things that will help you have a better chance at gaining, growing, and maybe maintaining the wealth that you're looking for. Let's start with what I think is the foundation. I use this when I meet with newlyweds and others who struggle with budgets. Live below your means. I know, sounds obvious, but today it's hard. If you want to look at some winter reading, pick up the book The Millionaire Next Door by Tom Stanley. It's one of those that will make those keeping up with the Joneses seem as off as it really feels. This book's a bit about gaining that wealth, but with the big message that I think you'll find is that the millionaire next door, the one that really has the wealth, is not the one that you think he or she is. I also found a great article this week about how there are some things you will find common among those that have built significant wealth, and they're not the things that you think. I'll get back to a few hints on how in just a moment, but I think you can see this list is pretty helpful also. The last thing on the list was actually this one that I just mentioned. You'll find that many people who have wealth are discreet about that wealth. They are the ones who don't feel that they need to broadcast what they have. They value their privacy. I guess that goes with the, do you want fame or fortune? Many would say, keep the fame. I'm just fine with the fortune. Another thing that's on that list, they are not the ones with jumping on the latest trend just because that's what other people are doing. They tend to be trend setters, not trend followers. What else? How can you spot them? Remember Imelda Marcos? If you do, you're older. She was married to the president of the Philippines, but that was not really what she was best known for. She had a collection of shoes that would make you cringe. The wealthy, not like her, most of them, you will see that they prefer to have fewer, higher quality items than a lot of flashy but not as high quality items. Quality over quantity. And this one may get me in trouble, but remember the comedian Joan Rivers? She had a bit about diamonds. She used to say that men often make the mistake. It's small, but it's perfect. And that speaking for women everywhere, she said, no, I don't want small but perfect. I want imperfect but big. I won't hang out with jewelers' wives. I'll be okay. Again, this is not the clue I'm talking about. Quality is what we're talking about. This one is familiar to so many of you, and I found it's true but not unique. That is, they share what they have and their time with others. So many of you have this deeply ingrained in you, and it's so amazing to work with you on your philanthropic plans. Remember, by the way, there is a way to make your gift in most tax efficient ways. So ask me about that as well. Here's one that you have heard me talk about. You can usually tell these that are the building wealth in that they have long-term financial plan. Yes, most wealth is built by planning, and the ones who have the plans, they're the ones who usually build the wealth. Similar to that quality idea, many of these people value experiences, especially these days. Weird how COVID had to teach us to value those around us and the time we spend with them. This group has that as a focus. Finally, this group usually has a real grasp of time, and this is one of the most valuable things to them. There's a reason that we say killing time. It feels deadly to waste this precious time to those who focus on building wealth. So there's some ways that you can recognize them, and I guess how we can become them. A few more ideas for the end of the year to help us being those that are building, growing, and maintaining wealth. We spoke about living beneath your means. Remember, Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for under $32,000. As you do this, one of the other things that will be a great benefit to you, build a safety net and do it in a little at a time if necessary, but set up a plan and keep to it. If you invest just $100 per month at a 7% annual rate of return, this will be over $120,000 in just 40 years. And that's just $100. The power of compound interest, some say, is the eighth wonder of the world. Something I'm going to keep talking about in our meetings and in these videos, understand your risk. The risk audit that I introduced you to last week, ask yourself if you could sleep at night if your investments dropped by 20%. Back to Warren Buffett. He says you should sell until you can sleep. You can imagine if you wait until that 20% drop, answering that question is much harder. Let's ask it now while the market is right about all-time highs. It's harder to be honest, but in my opinion, it's better than allowing the market to make you honest. 20% will wake you up. Let's talk about what risk you have and if your goals are truly in line with your risk. By the way, market risk is not the only risk we focus on, of course. As we know, well over the past few years, inflation's a big risk, longevity is a risk. There are a lot, but let's review them. That brings me back to another old favorite, SMART goal setting. But how about this? SMART, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART. Let's be sure we know where we're headed. We know that these goals change, but at least start on a path knowing where to go, or at least some direction. Finally, for today, and this is a long game, there are a lot of investments and investment want-to-bes that are the get-rich-quick plans. I love a plan that is like that as much as the next guy, but building wealth is rarely a sprint. It's usually a marathon. It's easy to look at these and see the short game and see the game that's won, but for each one of the short games that works out, there are many that do not. We have a process, you've heard it and you've seen it. Make a goal, come up with plans to reach that goal, execute those plans, monitor those plans, then make changes as necessary to the goals and plans, and then repeat. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but even the longest journey starts with one small step. All right, that's enough for today. Again, lots to think about. Next planning video will be the day after Thanksgiving, so allow me to share this. I appreciate you. Thanksgiving is a time to stop and note those who you are thankful for. And contrary to what the character in the show says, Leo Tolstoy says, you can't smell flowers from a galloping horse. Maybe it's time to stop and smell those roses and be thankful. Thank you. I'm grateful for you and for using your precious time today. Have a great weekend.